Hello everyone, my name is AZZATRU, how are you, and welcome to another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video of mine. And in this video, we are going to be taking an in-depth look at some brand new concept art pieces that were recently published online for Battlefront 2. All of the pieces of art you'll be seeing in this video is viewable on the website ArtStation. So many DICE artists have uploaded recently loads of new images, so I'd assume they've been allowed to do this. I've browsed every single one to see what's new, and there is so much new stuff in what I will show in this video. There is just so much awesome stuff, and if you'd like to see more about the art, it's definitely worth checking out. There's also a lot of stuff on there we've seen previously from the first game, plus the artwork that's been made public for months for Battlefront 2. But all of this you see in this video is completely new. There's a lot of stuff in there that made its way to the final game, such as the layouts of various maps, and the overall feel and look of the game is really spot on in the final game. There are just quite a few things that did not make it into the game, probably because it was not possible, or things change because of ideas not fitting in the jigsaw correctly, because that's how games development goes. Now, before I do speak about and show you some incredible awesome stuff like vehicles that aren't in the game and locations, I just want to say, don't think everything you see in concept art should become into a game, because if you look at any video game, most of the concept art you see does not make its way into the game because they're concepts, they're ideas. This is before there's proper feasibility on how certain assets can be made. Does it fit in with that scene? Does it fit in that map? Does it work well in the game? So I'm not saying most of this stuff could not be doable, but what I am saying is you have to understand it's concept art for a reason, because it's stuff that were made up to over a year before the developers actually sort of started physical work creating those sort of assets for that map. So I just wanted to put that out there before people start commenting, why isn't this in the game and stuff like that. I'd love to see some awesome stuff like this in the game, but concept art is concept art. It's not a finished product where hundreds of people had deadlines to hit. Although there are tons of things in this concept art I would love to see in the future for free content. So I'm going to kick things off with something really minor. This is a concept art image for Bespin in the Battlefront 2 campaign. And the reason why I'm picking this out is because if you look to the left, there is cloud car pods detached, flying by themselves. They're not sort of next to each other. They're sort of veering away from each other. And in the right hand side of the picture, there is a lone cloud car as well, so I just thought I'd mention this because I don't think there's any sort of canon reference to cloud pods being separated and being able to fly on their own, but correct me if I am wrong, I just can't find any sort of imagery about that. They always seem to be attached. So do let me know if I am completely wrong, but I just thought it was an interesting find. It might have been a concept that just was not passed through Luke. It's totally possible Lucasfilm did not approve the fact that they were detachable, so that's why it may have remained in concept art. Here is something I found kind of minor but kind of cool, and I would have loved to have seen an Easter egg regarding it, but in Maz's castle there is a room from The Force Awakens that houses Luke's lightsaber, and Rey is called to it, and in this concept art you can see Rey is stood looking at the door. I just wish there was some sort of Easter egg in-game that allows you to sort of open the door or something. Now, we also have a concept for Mos Eisley, and I must say this is one of the more beautiful pieces. It looks so realistic, it's fantastic. Now, the reason why I'm picking this out is it's sort of quite open. It seems like it's away from the place itself. We have two speeders racing off. We also have a air speeder that could be a sand speeder, because there was a Lego set that came out earlier this year that this could have preceded. I'm not saying there's any connection here, but they're not just snow speeders, they are air speeders that could also be sand speeders as well at the same time, depending on the location. Now, before we get into looking at the really cool concept art really early on from the development of the game, I just want to share with you this look of Leia. Look how detailed this model is. So this is before it's been textured, and it looks incredible, right? This is the quality all of the characters have. It's really phenomenal, and you just don't really appreciate it when you don't see it like this, to be honest. And I feel like 3D modelers are probably the most underrated part of any development team. They just don't get enough credit, in my opinion. So there were 2 pieces of Kylo Ren mission concept art for the ending of the campaign. As you can see, there are 2 images, one of him in the area of Pilio, where you have to jump over the rocks and they're floating, and one of the Scarif battle. And I just thought these looked fantastic, but more interestingly, the robes Kylo is wearing are like worn. They're not clean like they are in the game, and they are not clean like they are in The Force Awakens. They're sort of tiered towards the back, and it feels like this could have been where he was attacked in a battle, something attacked him, and maybe that has a bit of a backstory, or it was just the artist's interpretation. But nevertheless, I found the fact that he had a lot of robes that were cut and ripped was kind of cool. So we have a few pieces of artwork for Naboo. The first one is actually inside the palace, and it's very similar to what we got in the final game, except there are Phase 1 troopers, so this is probably just the artist's interpretation, thinking there would be Phase 1 troopers on that map, and that's why they are there, and I just feel like that concept art looks fantastic. Now, the second image is one of the bridges outside the palace, not in the playable area, to be honest, and the reason why I'm picking this out is because it has a Republic walker that appears to be on 4 legs, and has like a dual cannon, and I tried to have a look to see if I could find the name of it. I asked some friends who are knowledgeable with the Republic vehicles, and they could not tell me what this is. They believe it's an original design, so that is what it's going to be, in my opinion, unless someone can prove that it has been in some form of Star Wars media in the past. And this third image is like a repair bay for the N1 starfighters. It would appear this could have been potentially a part of the Naboo hangar map in the past, but we have nothing like it really. We just have them stacked up and ready to go out the hangar. This is actually where they're being repaired. Now let's take a look at probably the most controversial part of this concept art video, and that is loot crate. We actually have some really detailed images of the stuff that you get inside the loot crates that pop up and give you star cards and credits, that sort of stuff. They look pretty cool close up. We also have an early look at the loot crates when they were still in the design phase. But more importantly, there is an image of the room the loot crates are in. So I'm going to assume the main menu is the Corvus, because if you look at this image, we have the thing that's carrying the loot crates. There's 2 of them on there. We also have a droid. We have the hologram where you see it in the main menu, but it's just in a different position. But if you look at this blast door opening, we actually see an Inferno Squadron member, which could be Iden. It's just a concept art piece. It's probably none of the main characters, it's just a generic trooper. But it appears it is inside the Corvus, which is pretty cool. This concept art piece really does give us a better understanding at whereabouts we are when we are opening crates. Stepping away from concept art just for a moment, and we're going to be taking a look at some finished renders of the clones in the game. But some of them aren't in the game. So this image here is of a pure white Phase 2 clone, which is not in the game. They were replaced and given a Legion later on in the development cycle. And same goes for the Specialist and Heavy pictures. This is what they look like when they're plain. They have grey instead of the burgundy that's on the Naboo map right now. That is a specific Legion. And also on Kashyyyk, it is green. So at one point, we probably just had plain clones, but they wanted to add a bit more personality to the squadrons that are on both Kashyyyk and Naboo. So these next 4 images are more developed than concept art, but they're still in the concept stages. They do use 3D models, and they're quite telling. So they're of Jakku, more so the map we ended up getting in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the downed Star Destroyer. And there's quite a lot of difference. Not so much the structure of the map or the Star Destroyer, pretty much all of that has been kept the same, but it's about the assets that are in this concept. So in this first image, we can clearly see a TIE fighter on the ground with some ground transports as well for the First Order. It's more than that would be in the finished game. And in the second image, you can see a quad jumper, and this is the ship Rey, Finn and BB-8 are running towards before it does get destroyed in The Force Awakens. This is not in the finished version of the game. I've been there many times playing this map, and I can tell you for sure, it's not there. There's also some sort of speeder towards the right-hand side, which is interesting. Now, in this third image, we have a bird's eye view of that area, and as you can see, we have the quad jumper and some First Order troops, but then we do have those sort of 2 speeders off to the right. I'm not sure what they are. They're quite interesting, to be honest, and I'm not sure if they were seen in a film, but let me know. And this fourth image shows the 2 sides of the Star Destroyer. We have the troop transports and the TIE fighters on the left, but on the right hand side we actually have something more interesting. So we have a couple of X-Wings, some, I think, speeders again, and then we also have some troop transports for the Resistance, which we see in The Force Awakens, and we also see a few times in Battlefront 2. They're actually at the end of maps like Takodana, and even on this Jakku map itself in Galactic Assault, you have to blow them up if you are the First Order. These next 3 pieces that I'm going to be showing you are really early in the development phase of Battlefront 2, so this is when there is not a lot of finalised details. So please take everything with a pinch of salt, because this is really early stuff. And it's quite detailed, to be honest. So this first image here, we have heroes versus villains. It's on a location I do not know. So we have Boba Fett, it appears to the left. We have Kylo Ren, maybe? We also have Darth Maul with a hood. And possibly the Emperor with a lightsaber. Now in the distance we have 4 green lightsaber wielders. That's just there for placeholder and for reference, to be honest. In the next pitch, we actually have the Emperor using his lightning on a green lightsaber wielder that does not look like Luke. It's probably not supposed to be anyone. We also have this TIE fighter that is just in the swamp. I mean, it could be Dagobah, but I feel like that is not right, personally. And finally here, we have 2 green lightsaber wielders that sort of a generic Jedi, but they are looking at Kylo Ren because you can clearly tell it was meant to be Kylo given the crossguard, the red lightsaber, and of course that hood, and probably is wearing helmet there. There's also been a lot of character artwork that has gone up, including a lot of stuff for Iden and the other campaign characters. And there's a lot of stuff like this Endor outfit, I think it would be. It looks like Leia's Endor outfit. So that's kind of interesting. There is a lot of stuff that was not used in the game at all. So it's definitely worth checking out because it's interesting to see that there were so many cool ideas that just could not end up being in the game for many different reasons. And finally, let's take a look at some Kashyyyk concept art because there is so much of it. Now this first image shows Phase 1 troopers racing with juggernauts and LE-ATs on Kashyyyk. There are so many juggernauts. This is really early on in development stages. We also have a captain clone trooper, which looks fantastic. It's one of my favourite looking clones. In this concept art image here, we have AZZATRUs on the beach as well, fighting against droids. We also have some LE-ATs as well. We also have the downed Venator in the back, which is still in the map today. In this image, we have loads of juggernauts again, racing past the trees and attacking the droids. We have a Venator to the right, which I assume is kind of downed. If not, it's very low off the ground. We also have a downed Venator in the water, which is pretty cool to see. Here is a really early concept art featuring 3D models, and we actually have a Scout clone there, which is kind of cool. I mean, I'd like to see that as a customization option, but yeah, there's a Scout clone trooper just sort of there aimlessly pointing his gun. Here we have an MTT floating above water. That's not in the game, but here we are. It's here, and it definitely looks like a rough part of the map, this does. This image is probably from around the same time. It's further back. We have sort of the layout we have in the game right now, but there are moving juggernauts clearly to the left. And in this image, we actually have some Wookiee ships being chased by droids on their staps and their tanks. Here are two very similar images that show a battle going off. So we do have what we've seen in the finished game. We have droid tanks attacking the beach. We have MTTs. We've got troop transports flying low. But on the clone side, we actually see juggernauts racing towards them. Now, that is what happened in the many battles of Kashyyyk. We also have some downed ones as well. The reason why I find this concept art really interesting is because if you look at a lot of the concept art for Kashyyyk, it shows the juggernauts are not downed and they're racing towards the enemy. In the finished game, we have 2 or 3 and they're all downed. They're not able to move whatsoever. Now, in this image, which shows the battle has raged on for some time, it shows 2 juggernauts, which could potentially be the ones that were downed in the game. That's right now. You know, they are both sort of off to the sides. We also have more droid casualties and lots of fire going off, and that's pretty cool. Here is some more vertical combat for Kashyyyk. We actually have some Wookiees fighting with Yoda and some clones, Wookiees swinging from the trees to attack these droids that are on the platforms. And the final piece of artwork I will be showing you in this video is one of my favourites. And a couple of moments ago I showed you that battle where it was a progress look at different stages in the battle. Well, look at this. This is a more realistic look. We have droid tanks, we have juggernauts racing towards them, we have staps, we have Wookiees in their gunships attacking troops on the ground. We have Wookiees and clones fighting on the ground at barricades. And we also have some dwarf spider droids as well, which would be fantastic to see as AI in the game, to be honest. And I would love to have seen more vehicles like this in the game. So that's all for this video. Be sure to comment below what you found most interesting, and if you are new around here, be sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, I'd really appreciate it. And remember to check out the artist. There will be a link to ArtStation, which features all of this beautiful artwork and more in the description below. Go support the artist by leaving a comment on their pictures if you really do like it. It would mean a lot to them, to be honest. Check out any of the 2 previous videos on the screen, and I shall see you all in my next Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. Goodbye.